Hello everyone, and welcome to all who are watching this video. So today we are going to be going over the Apple Business Report, or the final report that we've been working on. So let's begin. So to start off, we're going to start out with some good old introductions. The team, we have myself, Eric Tigner, we have Hillary, Deontay, and Jeffrey. So let's start off with project selection. I mean, Apple is really, it's one of the largest companies on the planet currently. And because of that, it allowed us to really find a lot of research that we might not have been able to for a much smaller or less known company. But Apple, being worth trillions, has a treasure trove of decades upon decades of information. And speaking of decades, let's talk a little bit about their history. So, as we said, Apple is worth $1 trillion, currently valued as of August of 2025 at 3.371 trillion USD, which is important. I like to make sure I always use USD because over here in Italy, you gotta kind of make sure that you do distinguish the two, especially when talking about a corporation that does work in a broad setting. And, a company with this much capital and cultural presence has a wealth and valuable, as we stated before. So let's go over the executive summary. The mission statement, they don't actually have a mission statement on their website, but they do have this quote from Tim Cook from 2025 that is pretty much stated in the same exact format as a mission statement, so we just chose to use that. But as he says, we believe that business at its best serves public good, empowers people around the world, and binds us together as never before. And then for their vision, Apple's vision is to continue to change the way people think about technology and life by creating products and services that are meaningful and intuitive. We work to create products so integrated and so intuitive that people can focus on what really matters, creating, connecting, and living without having to worry about a device. So, history, starting off in 1976, almost 50 years ago, will be next year, their 50th anniversary. Steve Wozniak and Ronald Wayne in Los Altos, California, in 1977. They moved to Cupertino, California, where they would start their headquarters and would remain to this day. Both Jobs and Wozniak were college dropouts, which is kind of funny because those are the two people who you always hear like, oh, you don't need to go to college, but now we're all here doing a master's program. So, different paths in life for everybody. 1976, that was their first invention, and the Apple motherboard was sold without a keyboard or monitor. I can't imagine how heavy that was compared to today's technology, for instance. And it sold almost 200 units for $666. This single invention was the first, but it's definitely far from the last, as they are still going strong to this day. And, eventually Steve Jobs came back and he would continue to develop technologies for like iTunes, the iPhones, the iPads, anything that really just starts with I in the technology world can pretty much be attributed to Apple, which I think is kind of funny. So for the first section, I'm going to be covering it. Then my wonderful group mates are going to cover the other sections, and they will get back to you on that. So consumer benefits and the societal role beyond profits. For the consumer benefits, a company that is so large and is in so many different markets allows for the opportunity to provide a service that also can provide other services. So, for instance, by selling the iPhone or the iPad and then having their own store connected to it, they are giving the consumer the benefit of having one homogeneous service that allows for access to really anything they might need for that piece of technology. Like, for instance, my phone, I can turn on my iPhone, and then I can go to the App Store, and then I could probably find an app developed by Apple Like if I wanted to record a video, and right now I'm not doing it through my phone, but say I wanted to record one, I could do it through their video record function, or something along those lines. But for the societal role beyond profits, with any large tech company, the question of its carbon footprint comes into play, which has been really popular in the 2000s with the whole green idea. Not so much right now, but it also depends on which country you're in. In like Europe, it's a lot more popular than America, and so you have to choose. Do I play to the strengths of appeasing the European market, which is very more pro green, or do I go to an American market, which doesn't really care as much, so I don't have to actually practice as many carbon footprint techniques? So yeah, this is important to note, I think. And Tim Cook did pledge by 2030 he wants an effective net zero climate impact. So by how much carbon he is putting out through his factories, for how much water is being used for his servers. He wants to be able to combat that and be helping the planet as just much. And so for markets, we have 2 slides, I believe. And so we're going to go over some overview, and then we're going to see markets that Apple, let's see if this works with me. Markets that Apple, just supplies with. Let's just go with that. So Apple mainly focuses on 2 groups of customers, everyday consumers and businesses. Because they're so large, they can actually play to both of these markets and be completely fine when it comes to it. They generally cater to 18 to 44-year-olds, usually with middle to high incomes, and care about having a modern, stylish, and easy-to-use technology. I think the most important thing to mention is that easy-to-use technology. I like the iPhone a lot personally because of how easy I can scan it with it can scan my face and it can open. I don't have to put in a password, and everything's one click away from what I need. It's simple, and it convinces me that when I do need to upgrade, that I'll probably stick with the iPhone. Then, as of 2025, there were 1.56 billion iPhone users worldwide, which is over an eighth of the population, and 155 million of them were in the United States. And we do have references, obviously, throughout this entire presentation. Through our end slides, you can find where all those references, if you want to find the websites, they are also linked. Teenagers are exceptionally loyal to Apple, with 87% of US teens owning an iPhone and 88% of teens saying their next phone will also be an iPhone, according to Piper Sandler in 2023. Obviously, it's 2 years ago. Things might have changed, but yeah. So on the right, we have our innovation and technology, style and status, privacy and security, and product ecosystem. When you're selling a tech product, and I know this from personal experience, like when I'm looking for, let's say, like a VPN, I want to make sure it's the highest grade encrypted technology, it has the best security, and you obviously, you hear in the news a lot that services have their servers hacked and their information stolen. And so to me, it's a really important thing that information isn't stolen, or at least my information is stolen, because I don't want my credit card details or my debit cards that attach to my iPhone to be leaked out into the public, or to wherever, all that leaked information eventually arrives to and sold. So we have some more services. According to NASDAQ 2024, Apple Inc. is part of the technology sector that primarily focuses on consumer software, electronics, entertainment, and more. I think that's pretty easily agreeable. They're mostly known for their iPhones, but they also do have their Apple TV, and they have the entire App Store to work with. And Apple TV is interesting because it's also a streaming platform, which requires a subscription, sort of like Netflix. And if you've ever seen the budgets of some of those shows, like Severance, for instance, which is produced by them, it's millions per episode, which is just a truly astronomical number for an episode of basically television. This also, with being in so many markets and just having so much available capital, allows for a higher bargaining power, according to Yuja Liu in 2024, and in order to prevent a large-scale customer to turn rival, Apple Inc. makes great investments in research and development to produce distinctive products that can set themselves apart from the competition, and not even just set themselves apart, but can offer a better product because they can obviously fund more money into R&D. So some types of services offered by Apple, like we previously discussed, are Apple Books, their music, the iCloud, the Apple Care, which I didn't actually know about before. It makes sense that a company this large has their own IT department, but I can't even imagine how many people you have to train for an IT department like that. And then they also have Apple Pay, which if you've ever, it's kind of impressive, like that stores nowadays, you can just tap your phone on the little register thingy, and it'll accept your payment, just as like if you had touch to pay with a regular debit or credit card. And then they have Apple Card, which functions like their own credit card system. And so I'm not covering operating plan, but my wonderful project mates will be continuing the assignment. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.
Deontay Baker. Hello, everybody. My name is Deontay Baker, and I'll be going over operating plans for Apple Inc. We'll talk about sales and marketing tactics. Number one, regional pricing and localization. This is where you tailor price strategy for emerging markets to expand customer reach. Consider offering mid-tier version of flagship products to gain market shares. Number two, service expansion. Invest in new subscription offerings such as healthcare, AI, personalization, gaming, and more to increase recurring revenue. Three, brand experience is where you continue leveraging retail and digital channels for immersive experience. Expand flagship stores in high growth areas. Four, which is probably global to all companies, sustainable marketing. This is where you highlight progress towards carbon neutrality to attract environmental conscious consumers. Five, innovation showcase is where you use high profile launch events and advertising to reinforce Apple's image as a trendsetter in consumer technology. Yearly expense. As of September 30th, 2024, it has been reported that Apple's yearly expense was nearly 268 billion US dollars. This was in line with previous years of 2023 and 2022, which were 268 and 274 billion dollars respectively. However, compared to 2006, almost 2 decades ago, the company's yearly expense was only $16 billion, which is a difference of almost $250 billion. Marketing and strategy costs. Apple being a company that has been around for decades and already holds a sizable amount of market share and controls of its industry. Due to this fact, marketing can rely on its own brand strength and customer loyalty. With the yearly iPhone release, it is important to convince the customer base that new features warranting upgrades your phone or purchasing the new edition. This can be a heavily emphasis on faster loading time, new integration, and better camera quality. The differentiation of previous edition should also extend to the differentiation of competitor phones such as Android Galaxy smartphone. To achieve their yearly successful launch of its new product, Apple spends hundreds of millions on marketing. For instance, in the year 2023, Apple spent 775 million US dollars on advertising and marketing. This includes a single week of a $20 million expense to promote its Apple Vision Pro, its own take of virtual reality headset. Stakeholders. When you think of Apple, stakeholders, you think of four things. Government. Why? The government offers a lot for Apple to be a key stakeholder. They set the framework on how they can operate as an organization. There are laws on things such as health inspection, quality products, and more. There are taxes that apply. There are taxes that Apple has to pay. All these combined makes it essential for the government to become a key stakeholder. Shareholders. Shareholders are individuals or groups that have a piece of stock ownership in the company. If you own stock for Apple, this allows you to vote for the board of directors. The board of directors has the power to elect and remove the CEO for Apple as well. According to Apple, there are 8 members on the board that shareholders have the power to influence. Shareholders also increase the value of in the company by increasing the stock performance. This gives companies like Apple more capital to invest in itself. Suppliers. In order to build something, you need the materials. This is why suppliers matter. They offer Apple the materials to develop all of their products. Some of the Apple's main suppliers are Panasonic, Qualcomm, Samsung, and more. Having high standards on quality production is essential to a business, but it would not mean much without partnership that allows them to assemble the inventory. Customers. Customers are what keeps a company alive. They buy the product that Apple makes. They are also the intended target for advertisement. Customer can build a loyal relationship while giving positive word of mouth feedback. According to Tavis, the increased demand for products and services that prioritize health, safety, and environments and social responsibilities are bringing a shift in downstream operations of the value chain. Operational effect and future facing operation strategy. Apple operation success extends beyond shareholders alignment. It is driven by the company's integrated system, global process design, and long range strategies in manufacturing, logics, and innovation. Apple's operating under a vertical integrated model, giving it control over nearly every stage of its product lifecycle from design to retail distribution. This integration enables Apple to optimize speed, quality, and customer experience at scale. A core component of Apple's operating strategy is its lean inventory management and agile supply chain structure. By maintaining minimal inventory and relying on a diversified supplier network, the company mitigates supply chain disruption while keeping costs low. For instance, in fiscal year 2024, 62% of Apple's revenue came through indirect distribution, including third-party retailers and wholesalers, demonstrating a strategic mix of internal control and global partner leverage. Sustainability is also becoming central to Apple's operation. Apple is working towards a circular economy model by using 100% recycled rare earth magnets in collaboration in MP materials. They are also expanding repair options through Apple Care and the self-service repair program. These steps show that Apple is responding to the growing environment and social expectations of its shareholders. Looking ahead, Apple expansion of manufacturers beyond China into India and the United States signals a forward-thinking move to diversify operation risk and better serve regional markets. These shifts are expected to increase agility, local compliance, and shareholders' trust. This is it for mine. Next will be SWOT analysis.
Strengths. Apple has one of the strongest and most trusted brands in the world. Its ecosystem of connected devices like iPhone, Mac, and iPad work seamlessly together. With strong financial resources, Apple has plenty of cash to invest in new ideas and improvements. Apple is known for innovation and leading the way in new technology. Apple stores provide easy access for consumers to buy and repair devices, and the company has a worldwide reach. Some weaknesses may include that Apple products are high priced compared to competitors. The company depends heavily on the iPhone for most of its revenue. New product releases sometimes only bring small updates, which can frustrate consumers. Apple's supply chain is vulnerable because it depends heavily on factories in China. Its closed ecosystem makes it harder for users to integrate non Apple products. Opportunities. Apple can expand by adding more artificial intelligent features. Its healthcare products, like the Apple Watch, are becoming more important for health tracking. Apple is working in new tech areas like virtual reality and special glasses. Services such as Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, and iCloud bring recurring revenue. Emerging markets in India and Brazil give Apple opportunities to expand and sell more products. In the future, Apple may also expand into electric cars. Economy downturns may reduce consumers' ability to buy the premium products at premium prices. Strong competitions from companies like Samsung and Google pose constant pressure. Government regulations may create new rules that impact business operations. Supply chain issues, especially with overseas companies, can slow product deliveries. If Apple falls behind on new technology, it risks losing customers to other competitors. Apple is a multi-billion-dollar corporation with complex accounting needs. It uses SAP software for accounting, tax management, financial closing, and automation. With Apple doesn't own SAP, it is recognized as one of the leading companies that rely on this ecosystem along with Microsoft, Walmart, and Coca-Cola. SAP allows Apple to integrate multiple accounting processes and manage financial data in one place. Apple also works with Ernst & Young LLP as its independent auditor, which provides transparency for investors and builds trust. Accounting tools provide a complete financial picture, ensuring compliance with laws and building trust with stakeholders. Without accurate accounting, companies risk errors, misspending, and loss of credibility. Research shows advanced accounting tools help with forecasting, programming, and strategic management. These tools are especially critical for large companies but can benefit any organization. With AI and machine learning, businesses can automate data, improve accuracy, and make better financial predictions. Overall, accounting tools improve financial efficiency and strengthen long-term strategy. Samsung is Apple's largest competitor in the smartphone, tablet, and computer markets. Samsung integrates accounting, finance, supply chain, and operations through SAP ERP, allowing for real-time efficiency. By using IFRS standards, Samsung ensures compliance and consistency across its global subsidiaries. These systems allow Samsung to break down costs, revenue, and risk to manage strategies effectively. Like Apple, Samsung relies on advanced tools to maintain profitability and transparency, showing how critical these systems are in today's market. Apple's 2024 financials showed revenue of over $391 billion, a 2% increase from 2023. The company maintained growth strong margins, providing efficiency and cost control. Apple uses an independent auditor, ensuring trust and compliance with legal standards. Samsung follows IFRS, helping it stay consistent globally. It uses SAP ERP to track costs and consolidate data in real time, which is critical for global operations. Its annual report emphasizes digital tools and breaking down risks across the company. Apple invests in future-focused companies like TrueMeeting and RAC7 Games, highlighting a focus on AI and immersive technologies. It also uses SAP software and independent audits to financial monitor. Samsung invests in infrastructures and tech to stay ahead. It uses SAP ERP to monitor finances live, helping them catch problems before they grow. Both companies invest heavily in R&D, AI, and improving supply chain issues. Apple focuses on creating consumer-facing products, while Samsung emphasizes process efficiency. Apple uses SAP tools for real-time budgeting, forecasting, and active-based budgeting to remain flexible. Tracks performance through profit margins, sales, and regional results while also using AI for predictions. Samsung uses SAP ERP to align department budgets, results in live dashboards. Both companies rely on advanced tools, but Apple emphasizes AI and customer-focused metrics, while Samsung focuses more on standard global reporting.
Hello, my name is Jeff Lashley. I'll be covering the business planning portion of our presentation. I'm going to highlight three key areas: sales of growth, the role of reporting, and Apple's overall complexity. First, Apple's sales of growth plan, it focuses on three key strategies. Sustainability is really at its core, with Apple pledging to reduce emissions by over 60%. They're going to do this through renewable energy and recycled materials. Lowering product costs is another priority. Right now, the iPhone 17, currently sits at around $800, but that's before taxes. That's pretty unaffordable for many people. And then finally, Apple is balancing its walled garden ecosystem with compatibility. The EU mandate to adopt the USB-C really forced Apple to open up, which may attract more customers while also maintaining its brand security. And then next, we looked at the differences between qualitative and quantitative reporting, and quantitative data such as revenue by region, service income, marketing expenses really helped us understand where Apple's money comes from and really where it's going. And then qualitative reporting, that adds context, looking at things like Apple's sustainability goals, its decision to expand production into India and Vietnam, and how its closed ecosystem really builds customer loyalty. Together, these perspectives really do give a fuller picture of Apple's overall strategy. It is clear that Apple is a highly complex organization. It's worth several $1 trillion. Its success is built on a combination of sustainability initiatives, strategic growth plans, and a balance of financial data with quantitative insights into its value and operations.